If I knew before I moved here what I know now, I would not have
Okay.
here.
Deciding whether or not to move to a new country is a challenge, and sometimes it means facing things you didn't expect. Things you wouldn't even think to ask about. Denmark is often praised as one of the happiest countries in the world. And in many ways, that's true. The systems work, the quality of life is high, but living somewhere isn't just about what works. It's more about whether the place feels like you. Today was one of those days where something didn't quite sit right. I took a closer look at what it means to live here, not just on paper, but in reality. And I started asking myself, what happens when a country that seems perfect on the outside doesn't quite fit who you are on the inside? Here today we are not talking about the positive things, or let's say we're not want to explore the positive things in Denmark, but this doesn't mean that Denmark doesn't have a ton of positive things. But we are trying to cover the negative aspects, just because every country has something some challenges that you have to face and how to face it.
Yeah. So my name is Yema Ferreira and I'm a psychotherapist. I'm Angolan and I'm based here in Denmark.
Let's go into the society. How is the society here in Denmark?
I mean, I think there are good aspects to it and bad aspects to it, right? It's good to create some group cohesion in society. And I do have a sense that this law of Jante here in Denmark works a little bit as an element of group control, right? You know, controlling behavior, you know, keeping everybody in line.
To understand how the Danish society works, you have to understand something called the law of Jante. And it's not an official law, but a deeply rooted code that says you're not better than anyone else. So the idea is very simple. Don't stand out, don't brag, and don't think you're special. It promotes equality, but it also comes with a hidden cost. Individuality often feels unwelcome.
I think that is one negative aspect of it. There's a lot of pressure to conform, and there's backlash when you don't conform.
Okay.
That's one of the negative aspects. Another one I would say is individuality is also important, right? And I suppose the challenge in societies is finding the balance between individuals and the group, right?
Yeah.
And some societies lean more towards one than the other. So the individual suffers, particularly excellence and the sort of, you know, if you are an ambitious individual, right? If you have a vision, if we go to the school settings, for example, what happens is that the smart kids get really bored because they are not really catered to. They have to kind of sit around and wait for everybody else to catch up.
Yeah.
And it's boring. It doesn't nurture their talents and their interest and their curiosity. And the schools are not very good at catering to the different levels, right?
Yeah.
At supporting those who need support and challenging those who need to be challenged, and still attending to those in the middle.
The first time that we met, you talk about this two type of things that it's called integration and assimilation.
Right.
If you're not if you don't feel integrated and you feel, for example, assimilated in this type of society, if there is any possibility to go from the assimilation to the integration, or it's like there is no way out.
Right. Job, have a social life. I think the government would say pay taxes.
Yeah, probably.
So you can function, you are part of the society and you function in this society, within the systems of this society. Assimilation is you come to a new place, you completely erase everything that you are, as far as humanly possible, right?
Yeah.
To become like the people in the place
Okay, yeah, I see.
that you have come to.
Okay.
So when I speak about assimilation versus integration here in Denmark, I say that I feel that Denmark's integration policy is more of an assimilation policy. It kind of demands of foreigners that they come here, forget who they are, kind of wipe their slate clean of who they are, and become this, I don't know, pseudo-Danish
Okay.
people. And now I'm a therapist. Psychologically speaking, assimilation is very damaging, because when we reject who we are, we become unwell, right? That leads to depression, anxiety, a sense of rootlessness, hopelessness, depression, etc., etc.
Yeah.
So your question about, is there a way back from assimilation?
Exactly.
Yes, I would say that that's a healing process, right? So when you have rejected yourself, you know, parts of yourself or all of yourself of who you are naturally, and you are out of alignment and you are not well, then you can go through a process of healing where you begin to reclaim the different parts of yourself, so that you are well again and you can find some direction in life.
The role of toxic positivity around the society. What do you mean with it?
So by toxic positivity, I mean this. There's a pressure to always look at the positive side of things and ignore the challenges and the negative side of things.
Yeah. Okay.
So, for example, this idea that Denmark is the happiest country in the world, or one of the happiest countries in the world, right, is very much embraced. But as soon as you start to acknowledge that, but also bring out some challenges, that is not very well seen.
Okay.
Another way that toxic positivity shows up is, for example, I mean, it's in a very similar way, you know, there's not addressing the problems, right?
Okay.
So there's something, it's like there's a big elephant in the room here and nobody's talking about it. We're all just like, oh, everything is wonderful.
One of the main things here, and I know that you experienced it in some way, is like the bullying.
Yes.
So in which terms everyone knows about it, but everyone don't want to talk about it at the same time.
Yes.
How could it be possible?
Yes. For example, if you're at a party, right? Say I'm at a party and somebody makes a racist joke.
Yeah.
At a dinner table, we're all together, ha ha ha. Then I'm supposed to laugh it off, right? If I say something, then I'm spoiling the mood. Okay. Then I become the problem.
Yeah.
Right?
Okay.
That's very, very common. Yes, anything like that. Or, you know, you speak to the school about your child is being bullied, and the school not even refusing to acknowledge. I had that experience, refusing to acknowledge that what is happening is bullying.
Yeah.
Right? So if we can't even identify the problem, how are we going to solve it? Right?
Yeah.
Then you get messages like, oh, but your child is doing fine, they have friends, they like them, you know, they want to play with them. He's just the one feeling like, you know, insecure and blah, blah, blah. And this sort of failure to, this inability to sit with difficult problems, difficult conversations, and solve them, talk through them. I mean, I don't want us to focus on problems for no reason, right? It's for the purpose of solving them.
Okay, yeah, sure.
Right? We can acknowledge the positive things, and then when there's a problem, I have a need to identify the problem, talk to the parties involved, and find a solution together. And I find that that is a very difficult thing to do here. I think Danish society is not very good at dealing with difference.
Okay, yeah.
You know, whether it's race, religion, it can also be neurodiversity, it can be just if you are not the standardized, not changing the conditions that are creating the
exactly
stress. Yeah.
It's just like a temporary break from your issues, but once you came back to work, maybe
you're going to find the same conditions.
exactly.
And you're going to
so it's just like
again.
it's just like going to a pit stop, but it's not solving anything in your race.
Yes, I see. The thing I see is the not addressing the problems.
There is something that often goes unnoticed in Danish workplaces: stress and burnout. Denmark is often ranked among the happiest country in the world, but workplace stress is one of the country's most common reasons for long-term sick leave. And talking about it, not that common, because admitting you're not coping clashes with the silent expectation to keep things running smoothly.
Whether it's at school,
Whatever.
with, you know, bullying or any other problem, whether it's at work, for example, if you're at work and as a woman or as a person of color or as a person with a disability, you experience microaggressions, you experience, you know, you're just in a meeting or and someone will, you know, say something inappropriate, and you come to your boss or your manager, and it's minorities, people of color do report that it's not addressed, and many end up not reporting because they know that it's not going to be addressed.
It's clear.
So I definitely see that across the board, not addressing issues.
So they don't want to hear, I don't know, maybe suggestions to implement.
It's not very open to suggestions.
Okay.
And that goes back, I think, to the Janteloon thing. Don't think that you know better than us. Don't think that you're smarter than us.
To see how Denmark really works beneath the surface, you have to start looking at the mentality behind it. It's a mix of modesty, self-control, and not wanting to cause inconvenience. And there is a strong empathy for emotional balance, almost like a cultural preference for calm and neutrality. And nothing represents this better than the concept of the hygge. It's about creating cozy, safe spaces where conflicts, discomfort, and negativity are gently pushed aside. What's your definition of hygge that you experiences from seeing the reality here in Denmark? And what's your thought about it?
Yeah, so hygge is very, I mean, it's almost like it's become like a brand, like a...
Yeah.
You know, Danes love to have a cozy time, sit together, drink coffee, eat cake, talk, hang out. Which is our normal things, I mean. Yes. Yes, I don't even understand why it's become such a thing, but anyway. And it's good, right? It's community, it's togetherness, it's connection. But sometimes... No, go ahead. Sometimes it can be a little bit too much, you know. Sometimes I don't want to hygge, right? Sometimes I want to talk about the problem because, I mean, let's go back to the toxic positivity. Yeah, okay. Right? For example, there is sort of this thing about doing the hygge thing no matter what. Okay. Right? Like, I'm mad at you. We haven't talked about our problem. And we're supposed to sit here and hygge, right? With candles and tea and coffee and whatever. No. I need us to talk through that, solve that problem. Solve it, and then we can do the next hygge, right? So hygge is definitely a lot. I'm not saying that it's not nice to hygge. You know, it's nice to hygge when appropriate. But it also can go into the silencing and the toxic positivity and the patching things up, throwing things under the rug, not not dealing with problems. Danes don't really believe in authority, actually. I think authority is not big here.
Okay.
Authority is not a concept that is very embraced in Danish society. They believe in freedom, they believe in the freedom to choose, and they believe in giving children and other people the space to make the right decision. And that is reflected, for example, when you go to the metro station. There isn't anything blocking you from taking the train without getting a ticket. The machine is there, and you decide. They're telling you, you are a grown person, a member of society, and you're gonna decide: are you gonna buy the ticket, or are you not going to buy the ticket? And that's kind of the approach, I would say, also in schools, in parents and children, generally speaking. And I think for many of us foreigners, that's a little bit challenging because, we know from a psychological point of view, for example. So in principle, I'm kind of down with the idea of the freedom and allowing space and whatnot. But we know psychologically that children do need guidance. Children need containment, It's like that, they need guidance and they need holding, they need containment, and they need freedom within that.
Okay, yeah.
Right? That provides the safety and the conditions for the child to then explore in that, within the framework of the container you have provided.
Yeah.
I don't see the guidance and I don't see the container. And that leads to some... For example, when we talk about schools, I find that the learning environment, the environment is not very conducive to learning.
Okay.
It's hard to create the best conditions for learning, for the children to learn, when you can't guide them, provide, have some level of authority that allows you to create that environment, right? When they can just do whatever they want, and the teachers have no tools for holding, for creating, for guiding. But of course, if you ask the Danish person, they would tell you all the reasons why that's a good idea, right? Certainly as a parent with the children in school, I struggle with that. I find, and I know that many other foreigners also struggle with this style of, I was going to say leadership, but
let's say mentality.
This type of parenting, of guiding children, yes. But I know that one of the things, for example, that Denmark is very well known for and praised for is these flat, non-hierarchical structures in companies. I don't know how it works out because I have not been in those environments, but I suppose that would be the adult version of that.
And when people say Denmark is a flat hierarchy, they don't mean just at work. It's a whole cultural approach. You call your boss by their name, and teachers are treated almost like peers. The system avoids showing status and prefers collaboration over command. But does that mean that everyone's voice is equally heard? Well, not always. Here, for sure, mass media wants to, let's say, show the reality, show the society as something that is very away from racism. But I don't know in reality if it's different or not.
It's definitely different.
Okay.
And again, it goes back to that lack of acknowledgement, right? Lack of recognizing the problem. So definitely racism is a thing. Some people, I have not personally experienced people explicitly, for example, saying racial slurs to me. But I definitely know several people who have experienced that. And it can be out of nowhere, out of the blue. That's one. But also, maybe mostly, I find that it's the institutional, the systemic kind of racism that exists that makes it difficult to access employment, or to access employment that is at the level that matches your level of education, experience, expertise, etc. Definitely a lot of microaggressions in the workplace.
Okay.
In education, for example, one thing that we see a lot is how boys. There's a woman. There's a woman who works with that here. She does some really good work around. She's a teacher. She works in education, and she looks at what happens in schools. How, for example, particularly black and brown boys are treated by teachers. You know, the unconscious bias and the way that, you know, she talks, for example, about how they will, you know, if you observe, they will constantly be the threshold for telling off one of these boys is lower than for white boys. They tend to be, and yes, I experienced that with my son in school as well, where they are problematized, right? There's a problem. There's a problem in the group. There's a problem in the class, and they will be the ones who will be pointed as the problems. They will be the one who will need an intervention of some sort. They will be the one. And so over time, you're growing up and you experience this over and over again, and you can see the difference, right? You can see that. You can see that when other boys are hitting you or provoking you in some way, there's no reaction. And you can see that as soon as you react or as soon as you do something, there is a reaction.
Oh, yeah, okay.
Right?
Got it.
So they notice, you know, these boys, they're growing up and they're noticing this. And some of them are internalizing this. Some become very angry, and then it becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy, right? Because if you experience that your whole life growing up, right? And, you know, boys, when they get to that age where the hormones are kicking in, right, they become angry, and that can be, you know, that can be channeled into all sorts of things, you know?
Sure.
If they don't get the support that they need. So that definitely happens. Another thing that happens in education is directing black children, directing brown children towards certain occupations. You know, be a nurse or be a there's something that is not a nurse here. It's called the socio assistant. It's like a,
I see.
Yes.
Got it.
So a lot of girls of color and Muslim girls, and
they're trying
are sent in that direction, right? Sort of made to feel that they're not good enough to, say, study architecture or. And if they don't have someone strong in their life who can counter that. You know, so that type of systemic racism happens a lot.
Okay, but let's say, not talking about the type of systemic, but when someone may offend you for some reasons personally, so it's a one-to-one. If you offend me, you said something that I didn't want to hear anymore and stuff like that. Do you think that things changes, or it's like a way of...
No, there's great resistance. I can give you an example, and I'm again moving away a little bit from the one-to-one, because in a way that one-to-one is kind of the most blatant, but it's actually the least. That doesn't necessarily impact my life in significant ways. The teacher who completely deviates me from my purpose has a bigger impact in my life than the person who calls me the N-word in the street, right? That person doesn't have power over me. But one example of that in the public debate here is the use of the word Eskimo to talk about Inuit people in the context of Denmark, specifically from Greenland.
Yeah.
That debate has gone on forever.
Okay.
Greenlanders have been saying forever that that is not what they're called. They are not Eskimos. They are Inuit people.
Okay.
And they refuse, Danish society refuses to accept that. There was an ice cream, an ice cream named Eskimo. And there was a huge debate about that and about how, so there's a huge resistance. There's this idea that, and same goes to things like use of the N-word, and they say, but because these things were in books when they were growing up, right? And they're saying, oh, you're spoiling my childhood. This was fine. Why is this now a problem? This is the level at which the conversation is. Of course, there are also people in Denmark, white Danes, who support
for sure.
These kinds of changes.
We're not talking about the entire...
Yes. But sort of the dominant attitude is
For some specific culture, maybe it's better to look at another country, because here you can face a lot of challenges.
If I knew before I moved here what I know now, I would not have moved here.
So to face those type of challenges, what's your piece of advice?
So like now you're here.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
This is the situation.
And exactly.
How do you deal?
Precisely.
So I would definitely say find your people. Find your people. Find a group of people that you can speak openly with. You can talk about and appreciate the good things, and you can talk about and try to figure out the challenging things, right? Where
just try
yes,
to...
You have to find your people. They may be Danish people, they may be foreigners, they may be a mix, but find your people. People you feel at home with. If you have money, travel often. I think that's something that's very important to just remember to leave and come back. Don't just stay here, because otherwise you will your view of the world, you will think the world is smaller if you just stay in here. To have sort of regular conversations also with people outside of Denmark, again, to sort of remember how big the world is, and to remember the possibilities, because what happens is your world can really shrink and you forget what is possible for you. You start to believe what they're telling you, that this is the only thing that is possible for you.
Yeah, Mom. Thanks a lot for your time. If there is one thing this project keeps teaching me, is the value of listening. Even to stories that challenge your expectation or make you uncomfortable. Let those stories guide you, but then go. Be there. Because no one else can tell you how a place will feel until you feel it yourself.